Hi, everybody. Welcome to the I Am Real Estate Show. You're here with Ray Smith, Sandra Johnson, and Danielle Johnson. She's back from taking care of the kiddos. Good job, Danielle. We missed you on the show. On the show today, we have Don Geisler, who is the owner and designated broker for ND Realty. That is the real estate brokerage that we're a part of. And so we're happy to be a part of it and having Don Geisler here today. How you doing today, Don?
I'm doing great. Thanks a lot for having me.
The first question, what are the trends we're seeing right now at this stage in the market, at this time? 'Cause next week it may be different.
Yeah, I think right now we're sort of falling in line with what we expect after the first of the year, which is, we were just chatting offline here that the phones are ringing, which is really good and people are interested. So I think very typically we usually expect, my expectation is after the first of the year, things kind of get brisk again, that, they heat up, things start happening after a little bit of a slowdown through the, holiday season. Mm-hmm. And then I'm always pretty focused on the idea that the real spring selling season for us kicks off after the Super Bowl. So Super Bowl comes out and then the next weekend after that, I consider it, boom, we're headed into the new spring market. So seems like that's exactly what we're falling in line for. So,
and I'm hoping that the people who are who's on the fence of buying or selling, that your team wins, so you'll be more motivated to sell or buy.
Yeah. Do you have any predictions for the Super Bowl?
Predictions for the Super Bowl.
Like how many calories will be consumed in one day? Let's talk about the important stuff.
So I know for Thanksgiving, it's like 4,500 is like the average or something crazy like that. So
Super Bowl's got to be every bit as bad as,
because you're just eating for like 6 hours straight, like nachos, dipping chips and stuff like that.
What? I usually have vegetables and...
Yeah, right.
Sure you do.
Right.
I have vegetables and fruit. And,
I may not be betting on the game, but I would absolutely bet that you ain't going anywhere near a vegetable on that day.
Wait a minute. There's got to be a vegetable that gets fried.
Zucchini. Here you go. Fried zucchini. There had to be something out there.
Danielle. I don't think her mic's working.
Is Danielle's mic on?
Yep, we got a yes, a nod yes. So
okay.
There you go.
I got you. Now I can hear
Hi, Danielle.
Now we hear.
I was trying to jump in there and talk about those Super Bowl snacks not being quite as healthy as a Thanksgiving dinner. So I think we're probably jumping up. Although here I am jumping in the conversation a little late.
That's okay.
Never come late to the table.
I don't know. I don't think I have a prediction for it. I kind of stay out of it. I'm sort of like you. I just hope everybody in the end is happy and makes them want to buy a house.
Yeah,
but I'm actually, my team is in the same division as one of the teams, so I slant away from them pretty sharply. So that I don't want to make anybody mad. So
yeah, that's a good idea.
Stay neutral. we don't do politics and sports. That's unless it's the Arizona Bowl, and that's all we talk about.
Right.
No, I think one of the things that I always try doing to avoid is having an open house on Super Bowl Sunday, because people are definitely, whether you are a fan or not, people are definitely distracted by the fact that there is a social event that is occurring that is probably going to impact you in one way or another, whether you're watching the game or not.
I would agree with that. And I think it's fun that it's one of those, kind of unofficial holidays. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you, one year there were two teams in the Super Bowl I didn't care about, and I actually went bowling, and I was the only person in the entire bowling alley. It was really, really eerie. It was like one of those apocalypse type movies.
I'm just gonna say right now they probably just have the game on.
It was on.
And still no one there to watch, huh?
You can tell us a holiday, because when I was in the military and we were stationed overseas, and Super Bowl Sunday comes, let's say you're in England, or one time I was in Germany. When the Super Bowl comes on, it comes on late at night, like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. The next day is pretty much like an off day. You don't have to be at work till like 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening. They truly make sure that you have that day off, because they know that every single person who's stationed over there is watching the Super Bowl. It's like Thanksgiving or Christmas. It is a big deal. So We should make it a holiday and give everybody Mondays off. So make it a federal holiday.
I'm sure half of them are taking off anyway.
I think in Abu Dhabi it was like 2:00 in the morning one year, and it was the exact same thing. Everybody had this huge party at 2 in the morning
And people are
to watch
up.
the Super Bowl.
Yeah, people are up to watch the game. It's amazing. You won't stay up to do your work, but you'll stay up to watch the Super Bowl.
Got to be
So
where the
if-
action's at.
I was gonna say, if you are looking for a house and you want to make your offer when there's less competition,
Ooh.
Pick the Super Bowl.
this is your weekend. However, just make sure that your agent is working.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I can jump in here and say I'm probably not watching the Super Bowl. So if you do want to see some property, feel free to call me, Danielle. I'll help you out. I'll show you some property. Happy to put in an offer while everyone else is watching the game.
You
She's
probably
good
won't
at
get a response from the other of the client because they'll be watching the Super Bowl.
Everybody's having fun. It's nice. January, February, they're fun times. They're good times in the market. And it's nice when, January 1st, when the new year rolls around and everybody sort of starts getting back to business. And it's you'll see in our market, it's really interesting how mid-February it turns on. And
Yeah.
it's pretty exciting.
And people need to see that the trend is going up. It's not going down. Where things are moving forward. I know we had a lot of stagnant things going on, but with the market and interest rates and just the fact is that our inventory is a lot better than it was before. I mean, everything is pointing up for buyers and sellers to go out there and test the market and use a good agent like the Johnson Smith team at Indy Realty. 520-904-7711. What a pitch.
I think it's true. I mean, we know that, all probably every state is seasonal in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're, for us, our season kind of slows down in the middle of summer, where other places are kind of peaking in the middle of summer because they're frozen at this time
It does.
of year.
They become literally not functional.
Yeah,
When they're iced in.
my sister bought a house and closed on it, and they had to leave money in an escrow account so that they could dig out the septic tank once the ground thawed. And I'm like, we don't have that kind of drama here for real estate, but yeah, it does make a difference.
It does, and our seasonal cycle. I mean, it's very specific the way that it operates, and it repeats itself, and it is repetitive. But at the same time, the nice thing is we never have a total shutdown season. Like even
No.
when I say, well, we slow down a little bit, in halfway through November through the end of the year, and we do, but there's still a lot going on, a lot going on here. So it's just a great place to be, and yeah, we don't deal with some of the major ecological disasters people deal with. And
Nice word.
all this
Ecological
stuff.
disasters. Good job, Don.
Thank you.
Very impressed. Good job.
Well, so when we come back from the break, we can talk a little bit more about that really March, I would say, is when we peak for sales. And so, yeah, if you're looking at February, the time to get out there and either get on the market or be out looking at properties. Just know this is kind of a peak season for us. So
Yeah, we want to thank you for spending part of your afternoon with us today. If you're listening to, you are listening to the I Am Real Estate Show on 10:30 a.m. KBOI The Voice. We want to thank you for listening to the KBOI 10:30 The Voice, and you're listening to the I Am Real Estate Show with Ray, Sandra, Danielle, and our designated broker Don Geisler, who's also the owner of Indy Realty. And we think we talk about some of the benefits of NAR.
NAR, well, you're talking about the benefits. That's not where we're going right now.
Oh man,
We're talking hot topics right now. And
I was
I
trying
don't
to
mean the
avoid it.
store, I mean hot topics. So something that has been on the forefront of the news has been the Clear Cooperation.
Yeah, I mean, there have been lawsuits regarding antitrust. And, I'll just preface this by saying, I mean, I'm not super qualified to talk about law. I feel very qualified to talk about real estate and NAR and the way things operate, because I've been doing it, for a very long time. But, there is a maddening amount of misperception out there. And the problem is with technology and society, it just takes a kernel of misperception for masses to run with it. And
You
people,
almost had me lost. Say colonel. I'm thinking colonel, lieutenant colonel, major, captain. You're not talking military. Okay,
I am not.
Sorry about
I'm
that.
just thinking just a little shred of misinformation. And it's easy to spin things. And so I think, one of the things, the National Association of Realtors works tirelessly, to promote home ownership in our country. And that is to promote the availability of home ownership to people, the transparency, the laws that are involved with it. I mean, the association is very involved in a lot of things.
And protecting homeowners' rights.
Protecting homeowners' rights. I mean, I would encourage anybody, who believes that they know what NAR stands for. If you can honestly look in the mirror and tell yourself that you don't know, then research it a little bit. Really look into NAR and the things that they do. And they're a real advocate for home ownership and for consumers, for buyers and sellers across the country. And so I think one of the things that people need to hear is it's an absolute fallacy for anybody to say that NAR sets commissions. NAR absolutely positively does not set commission rates. Commission rates are always negotiable. They always have been. NAR never has dictated commission rates and absolutely never will. So I can understand how misperceptions, but I see how things get going, and there's just so much out there that's not true. And that's just point number one. The point that I would like for everybody to take home is to understand in no way, shape, or form does NAR or any MLS dictate commission rates and what consumers are paying. It just absolutely does not work like that. So
now there may be companies that have policies.
It is perfectly acceptable for you to have a business practice that says, here's what I charge for the services that I offer. So as a company, as you can say, here are our policies of what we charge, and here's what we offer. And
no difference than anything else. No difference than a restaurant. We have pricing on there, right there. Everybody has a pricing word for their services. Same thing with realtors.
It's absolutely true. And I would say that the MLSs provide, in my opinion, the definition of a free and transparent market. I mean, when there is cooperative compensation offered from a listing brokerage to a buyer's brokerage, it is there. It's right there in writing how much is being offered. So you certainly can't get any more transparent than that, and so the argument can absolutely be made that sellers benefit when their listing brokerage does offer cooperative compensation, regardless of what the amount is.
Right.
Because buyers can, in a lot of cases, not have the liquidity to, pay for closing costs, to pay for down payments, to pay for representation. And so when cooperative fees change or are reduced, and it puts more of a burden on the buyer to come up with that liquidity, it shrinks the buyer pool. For a given seller, it shrinks the buyer pool. And so, but we want to reiterate that it's always negotiable. We can talk to a seller, and the seller can say, I want to offer X rate for a co-op fee. And we would tell them, here's what we think the impact will be, to your buyer pool, to the ability to get your house sold. And then you go with it. Like it's a very transparent and open conversation, and everybody acknowledges, and there's no secrecy going on with the entire process. And so it is very clear. I encourage people to call me, consumers to call, to ask. We are very happy to explain it because we are extremely transparent about it. And like I said before, the MLS, the system, creates such a fair and transparent free marketplace that it shocks me a lot that people would make any accusations that it's anything but. And it's disturbing because there are special interests there's always interest that we don't know about,
Mhm.
in these things, and that a lot of people don't know about. But talk to us, and the one thing I can guarantee is we will always be honest and transparent, and have any conversation with any buyer and seller that wants to have a conversation with us. Not about other brokerages, about what we offer, what Indie Realty offers, and how we function.
Do you think people need to know that what it takes to acquire a real estate license? It's not that it's just something you get off the store. That there's hours you have to take. You have to take for every year, and every 2 years you have to take so many more training. You're always being trained on how to make sure that you're up to date on all the things that it takes to be a good realtor.
Yeah, and so there is an initial get into the business, requirement that takes X hours of education, and you have to pass a test. And
I passed, in case everybody was wondering.
that's good.
Yeah.
Good job.
On your first try.
Oh yeah.
So, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. I
Right.
mean, experience, being with a brokerage that supports you, the continuing ongoing education is so critical. And the transactions, they're complex, and it's a debate that people can have, because some people have gotten lucky, found a neighbor, you can transfer a house on a napkin if you want, if you have the right person. But the transactions and the liability and the complexity that goes with the transaction it's pretty amazing, and there are so many different factors going on with it. And the transfer of real property, in our country, in our state, it's a wonderful thing that we have the right to it. It's an amazing right that we have the ability to own property, own our piece of the universe. But there sure is a lot of complexity that goes along with it. And so that education from a qualified real estate professional is so critically important. And, after the next break, I certainly would like to talk about the role that NAR as an association plays in that, because there are a few critical points in it that I think that people are missing.
With that being said, I thought that was well stated by Don Geisler, who is the CEO of Indie Realty and also a designated broker for Indie Realty. You're listening to the I Am Real Estate Show with Ray, Sandra, and Danielle. We're part of the Johnson Smith team. We're going to be reached at 520-904-7711, 520-850-1725, or 520-373-6864. We are the Johnson Smith team. If you're looking to buy or sell your home, or if you have any questions concerning real estate, call the Johnson Smith team at 520-904-7711. It's Ray Smith.
Sandra at 520-850-1725.
Danielle at 520-373-6864.
You're listening to the I Am Real Estate Show. We're here with Don Geisler, who is the designated broker and CEO of Indie Realty. We want to continue our conversation, Don, talking about the roles that NAR plays and how they're a big part of how this clear cooperation is really going well.
Yeah, I mean, I did want to point out so people understand. So NAR is the National Association of Realtors, and because it's known out there that as a result of some of the lawsuits, some of the larger brokerages period are opting to not require their members to be a member of NAR. And so this is something that's going to come up. And I think it's really important to have the conversation. So for people who don't know, well, what is the benefit of NAR? So the association is formed to very high level to ensure professionalism. And that's what I think people really need to focus on in the laws of unintended consequences, right? I can tell you as a real estate professional in the state of Arizona, the things that we are held accountable for, excuse me, and at every moment that we have top of mind and front of mind is how do we operate within the parameters of the law in Arizona? And then also, just as importantly to any realtor out there, how do we operate within the parameters of the code of ethics? Okay, so
just to pause you right there, you can be a real estate agent and not be a realtor.
Yes. Yes, that is absolutely true. That's the fact. And so what is one of the main benefits to a real estate professional being a member? What is the one of the largest benefits to the public of utilizing a realtor who's a member of the association? Well, let's talk ground level. We're all bound by a code of ethics, and it's extensive, and it guides the behaviors, and the business principles, the way that people operate, and adhere to a code of ethics. And if a realtor does not adhere to those principles, they can be fined. Like, there are serious sanctions and repercussions that can happen. So, like, question number one that I would ask anybody is, A, do you want to work with a professional who's not bound by the code of ethics? And when we operate and we advocate for our clients, do we not want the professional on the other side to be bound by that code of ethics? So when you start thinking about, again, unintended consequences or things that you're not thinking about, the code of ethics is a really big deal.
Mm-hmm.
It really guides people. Understand that they have to operate, here comes the word, ethically, right? And it means a lot. And if we're dealing with people on the other side or in the industry that all of a sudden feel unfettered, untethered to the code of ethics, and so what does that mean? It means they can behave any way that they want. Dare I say the words, unethically. I'm not saying that anybody who's not a realtor behaves unethically. That's certainly not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that when you lose the guidepost,
The accountability.
and the repercussions that come along with that, that is a very big deal. And, also NAR, in addition to the work that they do tirelessly on behalf of homeownership and the buyers and sellers, across the country, they offer so much education, ethics training, education on everything from agency to fair housing and everything in between. And you look at all of the designations that realtors can earn, and then display proudly that they have taken this education. So I would really encourage people to think hard, about, you used an example offline, right? An airline.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're going to get on an airline, this is just pretty simple. The one that belongs to the association that ensures that you are licensed, educated, getting held accountable for making sure that you behave in a certain way. Which one are you going to go with in that scenario, right? So, before you put these transactions, you as a consumer get to decide who you use to represent you, but don't lose sight of the fact of what it means when your agent is part of the association.
We're talking to Don Geisler, who is the CEO of Indy Realty. There's a local brokerage here in Tucson, Arizona. He's also a designated broker for us. And I like the fact is that I'm always talking about having people accountable. As just for my military days, that we always want accountability. We always want somebody to be responsible for your actions. You always want to know that you're being held to a higher standard than everyone else, because you want to make sure that everybody who looks you in the eye know that you want everything to go correct. You will do everything in your power to assist them in making things happen.
Yeah, I was trying to think, too, there is a process that if you feel that a realtor has violated that code of ethics, there is a process that takes place. And their peers sit down and look at that and say, did they act, within the guidelines of the code of ethics? And you've been part of that, haven't you?
I have participated in such a thing, and I can tell you that you don't want to receive. That is a notification that you don't want to receive. That you're being requested to defend yourself, in front of a panel of peers in the association that have the ability to issue sanctions and affect your reputation, long term. There's a lot of gravity to it. And so I just, sort of before I came over today, I get the headlines. You guys know that I'm not a clickbait person. I say stay away from it, but
Yes.
I get the headlines in our industry because it's my responsibility to be educated and ensure that all of us are educated in our company, and I see that, part of a settlement that came out today was one of these brokerages said they're not going to require that their members be a part of NAR. And just what flashed in my mind is be very careful what you wish for. And I wish that everybody I wish there really was transparency in what's going on out there, and that people could really see long-term repercussions of a move like that.
So if I were not a member, I would pay less dues and have less accountability.
Yes.
I don't see a benefit to the consumer to have me as not being a practicing realtor.
Absolutely.
All right, we want to thank you. We're going to the break. We should be I want to say get on the other side. I know Danielle's going to get on my back again. So we got one more segment left, everybody. Stay with us, please. Welcome back. You're listening to the I Am Real Estate Show. You're with Sandra, Ray, and Danielle. We are here with our designated broker for MD Realty. That's Don Geisler. And I want to make one thing very clear. We are the best agents in this office right now. No one can say anything different than that. Yeah. And no one can dispute
A legend in his own mind.
There's no one better than us in this office right now. Nobody. Okay, it's only 4 of us. Okay.
You can say that.
Yeah. That's all I can say. Well, we were talking about the market and talking about the things that NAR do, and that's just let people know that we are held by high standards, and we believe in a fair market. We believe in clear cooperation, but we also believe in the fact is that we need to move forward and get people into homes who don't think they can afford to be in homes, or who don't think that they're waiting for the next thing to drop or happen. How do we get them off the perennial fence? How do we get these guys off the fence?
I think I would encourage people to be excited about the market right now if they're feeling like they're on the fence, because I can't predict these things, but experts are predicting that home prices are going to continue to appreciate,
More moderately, right?
moderately, at what we consider to be the
not
typical.
crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. What we consider to be a typical annual, rate. And interest rates have dipped down, which
Yay.
is very positive.
Yes.
Interest rates, like they capped out last October at about 7.79 or something, something like that, and they have come down. So they're not likely to drop through the floor for where they were in recent years, nor are those rates normal by any means.
Right.
2.5%, 3, stuff like that. So the rates are in pretty good shape right now, and affordability is better right now, and it's certainly a good time for both buyers and sellers to be in the market.
Well, and I think it's important too to remember we're trying to help people to invest in themselves, and that's why we're constantly talking about this, and that's why we do what we do. We want you to understand that by owning a home, there's so many benefits to you and to your future that, looking at just the interest rate or looking at just one of the little details, you kind of sometimes miss the big picture of you're buying a home for your family, and that this is a place where you and your family can do what you want within reason. You're not restricted by the landlord who tells you what you can and can't do, and having that freedom and that ability is worth so much in itself. But also that if you buy today and if you decide this is not your forever home and in a couple years you want to sell it, you can do that. You can absolutely sell and buy something different. There's always the opportunity to be in what you want and to have what you want. And we want to help you to reach those goals, whatever they may be. So if you just have questions right now, we're here to help answer those questions. If you know what you want, we're here to help you get there.
Right. Actually, we do have a home buyer class coming up on February 16th. It's a Friday. We'll be at the Indy offices at 5:30. Probably have some pizza and have a lender there and be able to have just some just some frank conversation. It's not always the perfect time, but it may be the time.
The right time.
Yeah. And so I think that starts with a conversation. And I have to say, the Indy offices are absolutely beautiful and a great place for us to meet. And Don has been gracious enough to allow us to hold the class there. So if you do have an interest, you can email us at johnsonsmith@indie-realty.com or give us a call. I'll give my number, 520-850-1725. We just want to give people a safe place to start a conversation, and that may be just learning what you need to do to put yourself in a position where you can buy.
Obligation free.
And I'm just going to throw out some things. If you have questions about credit recovery, you can come and ask questions about how to improve your credit scores. If you have questions about down payment assistance, you can come and ask some questions. If you want to just have a general idea of what the process looks like, anything that you have to ask, we can help you out. We can direct you to the right people and make sure that you're able to get answers from industry professionals who really want to see you succeed.
And I think that the thing that's putting people on the fence and worrying about is the fact of the contract and being afraid of the process. And that's what we're here for. And I bring the one thing up is that when people sign a contract and they have a house and now they went, I'm afraid now, I don't know what to do. I signed it by mistake. You still have a 10-day inspection period to where you can sit there and make some decisions and get your inspection done and get a lot of things done that'll help you see if the house you have is the exact house you want or 85% of what you're looking for. So you don't go through the process just being once you sign something, you're done. I think if you sit there and talk to your realtor, I'm not saying talking to your realtor, we're hoping that we're your realtor, you're talking to us, we're guiding you and making sure you understand the process from beginning to end. And understand that you're afraid because I believe you just aren't aware enough. And that's what we want to have this class for. This class will help you be aware. If nothing else, it gives you a chance to ask some questions to some very knowledgeable people in the industry.
Yeah, and absolutely. Danielle, you hit it, on the head so much about investing in yourself. And it's kind of funny. Before I left the office, one of the articles that I was looking at, it actually stated that nationally, the average equity that a homeowner had in their home at this moment in time, this snapshot, was $300,000. Now, I found that shocking, and I actually did not post it, anywhere. And I'm not by any means saying I don't trust my own sources. I'm just saying, oh my gosh, that was just such a striking figure that I want to do a little bit more research before I, even posted that out, because real estate is very localized, and that takes the whole country into account, But when you're renting, you have a place to live and it's wonderful, and there's a time and place for everything, but you're not investing in yourself. At the end of your term renting, the money that you've handed over is gone. Whereas when you buy for yourself, that money that you've invested is still there in the form of equity.
I was just having this conversation with a gal yesterday, and I'm going to do a shout out to her, Mel at Deja Vu, doing a facial, kind of a late birthday celebration for me, and just this really impressive young lady. And we were talking about that equity and how, even some days real estate's hard. Not going to lie. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But when you see the impact that it makes on people's lives, whether it's through home ownership and having that security of a roof over their head and knowing exactly what their payment is going forward, other than taxes and insurance, things like that, but knowing that you're not under a landlord who could raise rents, substantially year to year. But to see having access to your equity and how that can be such an important financial piece in your life. And over again, we've seen people who have either, gotten away from a really unhealthy rental situation, or they're selling and able to retire and spend more time with the people that they love. Just the impact that having been a homeowner has made in people's lives is why we get up in the morning and why we're willing to continue on in this career because we truly believe in what we do, that it is making a difference in people's lives.
Danielle, and I'm sure there's something you want to tell people who own a house, what we can do. How can we help them?
Well, if you give me a call, I can do a free home valuation for you.
How much does it cost?
It's free.
Okay.
Yeah. So, again, part of that, the reason that I do that is because it's important to know what your home is worth. And not just if you're planning to sell, but also, like we're talking about with equity, it's important to know how much equity you have in your home, because when something comes up, it provides so many more opportunities for you. If, you have unexpected medical, if you need to make some repairs to your home, there's so many different things that happen in life. And to know that you have money that's in your home that you can use under those circumstances, it's just important to know what you have. And I am never going to advocate, I'm going to go ahead and say this right here. I'm never going to say that someone should pull equity out of their house just to go spend money, because that is never a good idea. You're building it for your future. But if something comes up that's unexpected, those emergency situations, or remodeling, making some improvements to your home that are going to add value to the home, there are very good reasons why that equity can come in and help you out in getting to, whatever's coming next in life.
And John Spur from Inspired Life Mortgage is the one we think you can use. To get those information, get those questions answered. Don't you think?
He has some great products and great options for you. And I know if you're in a situation where you're paying close to 30% interest on credit card debt, again, we take that very seriously when you start tapping into equity, but use it to make your life better. And it is an investment that you've made, and one that, it's your equity, and we feel like it's just a great move to make. And I hate to end the show when we have so much more to say, but I want to talk to agents right now. If you happen to be listening online and you're looking for a brokerage where you're going to get the training that you need to be a quality agent, you're going to have the support that you need when those tough situations come up, I am telling you that Indy Realty has that and more. A beautiful office, great support. And we couldn't be happier that we made the decision to be working with you, Don.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm equally as much gratitude to have, the three of you in our company, in our lives. It's just been a wonderful couple years so far, and on to great things.
With that, we want to thank our sponsors, Indy Realty, one of the sponsors of the show, Rego Pest Prevention, and Inspired Life Mortgage. Really, we couldn't do what we do without their continued support. So if you do reach out to them, please let them know that you heard about them on the I Am Real Estate show.